Welcome to Vox Scream, a Kill Team podcast where we aim to help players of all skill levels supercharge their game and separate the signal from the noise. I'm Mark Meyer, joined by Kill Team heavyweights George Pratt and Joe Gallo. We're coming to you from the Triangle region in North Carolina. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Well, before we get too far afield on linguistics and the origin of languages, I would like to welcome everyone here to Vox Scream. We have a special guest with us today. We have David Reis from Skill Team, which is one of, he's basically one of your locals now, George. Would you not say so?
Yeah. It's cheaper for me to get to New Jersey than in New York City, so I'm going to all the Jersey tournaments.
That it is.
Yeah, because we're not claiming your ass anymore, George.
He's still Team Vox Scream now. Come on.
Yes, sure.
He's an export now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, for those of you who don't know Skill Team, you better know because they are currently the number one ranked team in the US ITC. And then David, of course, as of this recording, is ranked number 6 in the US and top 30 globally. So definitely a heavy hitter. David, welcome to the program, man.
Hey, great to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah. And I mean, you told me that you have the Vox Stream hat trick where you've kind of met each of us individually at separate points. So now,
or at least
you get it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So you get to hang out in the gulag with us tonight. So really excited for that.
Welcome to my dungeon.
We definitely have a lot to talk about. We got some things that we kind of prepared, but ultimately, I think it's worth talking a little bit about. I know that, David, you played at a tournament over the weekend with Vespids, and you are pretty well known for being like an absolute killer with Vespids. So, we'd love to hear a little bit about your run and just how it's going for our buggy boys out there right now.
Yeah, I took Vespid to a local 3-rounder this weekend. I didn't do fantastic, but I technically was undefeated. I ended up going 1-0-2, which is not a great stat line.
Hey, what do you mean? I got my ticket on that stat line. What do you mean?
Yeah. Look, undefeated is undefeated.
Yeah. My Vespids have been undefeated for a while now, and they normally do okay. So long story short, I picked up right when Sanctifier's released. I ended up trading the sprues for a pair of Vespid and a pair of Pathfinders. And I was like, oh, 2 teams for 1? Great. I'm not going to play this broken-ass team. Both the teams had like dog shit win rates at the time, right? And so they both got buffs. I read through the buffs. I was like, wait, Vespids seem broken. I'm going to play these guys. And that's what I did. And I stopped losing.
Yeah. I mean, your win record kind of speaks for itself, and that it's very rare.
You're pretty much the Orion Wilfong of Vespids. Like it's crazy. Like I don't use that analogy lightly. Like you are as undefeated as Orion is with Gellerbox. So it's crazy. Like because people like you said consistently shit on Vespids for pretty much the majority of this edition so far. And I think now coming off the last Data Slate before last, they've been in a good spot. And I've been keeping my eye on them as well because I have a funky feeling they're going to be a problem after Murder Wing and Wolf Scouts get hit. But we'll see where that hack goes. I think they are still limited by the fact that they hit on 4s and think that's their biggest weakness, to be honest, more than anything else. But they're a solid team right now. They're very good. I mean, the Fly is just so good. So good as we've discovered.
Fly is people are now learning how really stupid Fly is because that's really what drew me to the team. The long story short of bugs, for those that don't know, is you get 10 guys that effectively get like mini meltas, where you hit on 4s, and even your base warrior has the potential to one-shot a 14 wound Space Marine, no questions asked. And then on top of it, you get to ignore all terrain, all movement. You get to pretend the map doesn't exist for half the maps in the game.
Yeah, you're really able to set up that non-reciprocal threat just by like being on Vantage or like being, underneath like a wall or like a vantage in a stronghold or something like that, and you are able to put your operatives in spots where you can't really get touched very easily, but you're able to go and just move wherever you want because you just pick your model up and move it somewhere else.
Yeah, on Vulpes you don't need doors. You just phase through walls.
Yep, it's literally a teleport.
Yeah,
really what it comes down to.
So silly.
And one of the most underrated things to me about Vespids is them being at 9 wounds. It is such an annoying breakpoint for even melee specialist teams unless you have consistent access to severe. Yeah, and even then you have a melee reduction. So like even then you need to like even orcs 5-6 damage doesn't mean anything with your melee reduction, and they're shockingly good at melee. Now with the
really good with melee.
With the lethal 5 and shock hitting on 3s, 3 attacks. Ceaseless on retaliate, right?
Ceaseless on fighting. So if they're the aggressor, they basically have relentless in when they're fighting. If you take
so it really encourages you to just like go throw a guy at a Space Marine in particular if you really don't feel like you want to roll the dice on shooting and just sting the shit out of them and just spike, 7, maybe even close to 11 damage. Sure, you die, but like whatever, you just did 11 damage to a Space Marine.
You injured the murder wing, and now if he tries to shoot you back, he's sitting on like 4s, and he has no rerolls because he's murder wing.
And then also, if you moved for that shot, you have your ignored damage.
Yeah, you get a chance at a justice scratch on every normal that they shoot at you.
It's interesting because you're talking about like if you go and you do this damage to a Space Marine, all of a sudden they're hitting on 4s. Joe touched on a little bit earlier that hitting on 4s is pretty tough for this team. What I want to know from you as somebody who really probably knows this team inside and out, what do you think are like the key weaknesses to the team? Because I think a lot of people talk about hitting on 4s and like melee, but I also think from my experiences watching some of our locals play and from what you've been talking about, I don't think those are necessarily it. I think they have decent tools there.
Everybody likes to talk about hitting on 4s, but they also have really easy. All the warriors have really easy access to accurate if they so choose. So especially injured warriors are typically just as effective as like non-injured warriors. So they get this like sort of pseudo no fear in that way. But also if you don't take the accurate or if you're shooting with one of your other operatives, every time you move using the ploy Airborne Predators, you get balanced. And typically that ploy is free thanks to your leader. When they move or fly, they get piercing, which removes the defense dice, making it much harder to save your fewer successes. And then on top of that, you can use your communion points to then re-roll. So they're hitting on 4s, yes, but for the most part, they either have accurate balanced or double balanced. And sometimes that, especially when you have the drone around and you have saturate, piercing, lethal 5, it's like a keyword soup.
Yeah.
I think, and to your point, it's kind of what annoys some people about this edition is that a lot of teams just kind of keyword soup now, and just they kind of bury you in keywords. And I think Vespids is definitely one of those teams with devastating, piercing 1, saturate, lethal 5. If you're shooting the sniper rifle, even more so, right?
Mm-hmm.
The grenade launcher with the neutron tokens.
Yep. Even the flamer who hits on 2s on top of it, and it's just like.
And the funny thing is like they're even now they're just doing okay in the stats. And I do think part of that is what I think we've officially coined on this podcast as the AOD effect, where people have Vespids because they bought the starter box. So very often newer players gravitate towards the starter box teams because they were the easiest to acquire at the beginning of the edition, and they start playing them, and they're actually a very hard team to play starting off because they don't really know how to maximize fly in the way veteran players do. So I think that you get a lot of new players taking this team. They kind of do fly in the wrong way, or they maybe even get too aggressive, or any number of those variable things that happen in a game, and they end up not doing well, even though people like you have been killing it with this team, and it hides and it submarines in some ways the win rate of the team, when in reality I think they're very fucking scared. Like as an elite team, when I was going into specifically Cherokee, I was fucking terrified of going into a good Vespids player, and I ended up going into a decent Vespids player. I still was able to get it, but like that was by the skin of my teeth, man. Like they are just so strong into elites.
They eat elites for breakfast. They love them because you just out activate. You could pass with your first 6 activations, and then when they're on counteracts, you just teleport to like one-way shooting lines where they can't counteract shoot you back, or you're like tucked away, or you just pick up their model. And
I think it's also another thing that I think Vespid win rate is also slightly dragged down by better players who look at people having success with Vespid and go, well, I'm a good player, I should be able to do that. And then they don't because they're playing too smart. Like, Vespid is a team where if your positioning is on point, that's really the only fundamentals you kind of need. You need to have great positioning and, like, great positioning, good target acquisition, and good activation order. And, like, if you've got those 3 fundamentals down, trying to do more with Vespid is kind of, like, actively detrimental to your game plan. Because the game plan is move up board, remove enemy, play the crit op. Because you don't have enough action economy. There's no APL. All of your buffs require movement.
They're very much a team that, due to their rules and like fly and how like frail but also tanky they are in some ways, they don't really teach you the fundamentals. They punish you when you make a mistake. If you misposition, you're picking up a bug. You miss a shot, you're picking up a bug. So they're very punishing in a way if you don't understand them or if you don't like take the time to like figure them out. But if you have good fundamentals and you play your game, they perform very well for you. The issue then, once that goes, is it sort of snowballs. And when you try to do cute things with them or like do something tricksy with them, you get punished and you die and you have to pick up a bug. It's less that they're like basic and straightforward. Like they are very tactical, like activation order, understanding targets, knowing where to stand, knowing where to shoot, knowing when to shoot, when to run away. All that stuff is like, there's tactics there. But if you try to be cute with them, if you try to do something like tricksy or extra with them, then it just sort of falls on itself.
Yeah, you just don't have the action economy for it.
I mean, I think that too. And I also think that, to kind of build off that point, George, I mean, playing a straight 2 APL team is something that very few people have had to deal with because there's very few teams that do that. Vespids and Chaos Cult are 2 of the only ones that come quickly to mind for me.
And even Chaos Cult have free actions. No, they have free APL, but they have free actions.
Right. But that's besides the point, is they're punishing in similar ways to the fact that, like, if you make a mistake, like if you don't have your units in position to do what you want them to do, like a turn or 2 from now, they're going to have a hard time. And sure, you have the fly to kind of help you get around that to a certain extent, but you don't have the actions like to do that to a certain extent. Joe, and I think that'd be a really interesting team for you to play some just because of that. Like, I think you play non-elite teams, but you haven't played a straight 2 APL team. You value teams that have that flexibility to get extra APL.
I played a couple of games of them month or so ago, something like that. I just and maybe this is just me, and I'm curious to hear your response, David. They feel too casino for me, and I really think they do. I mean, the hitting on 4s, even with double balanced, like there were so many times and where I felt like I was doing better than my opponent, like playing the game better, and my dice would just fail, even with double balanced. And like, I think that, for example, when they do well, I once again, I don't know your opinion on this, but like, it feels like whenever I see a Vespids player do very well, I always hear the comment of, my dice were doing pretty good that day. Like it's hard for me to hear a Vespids player go, oh yeah, I got first place in the tournament. My dice were terrible this fucking run. You know what I mean? Like there are teams where the rules mitigate dice luck because like they're good enough at scoring the crit or they're good enough at scoring their attack. Now, bear in mind, I think Vespid now with flank specifically are fine in the tac op department. And I think it's where often they get their best business done. But particularly if they can't get the kill op where they need to be, because that's the thing. Is like they're really good at scoring the kill op and outscoring the kill op specifically because they're 11 bodies now. So if they can't really do that because they're not scoring the crit op very well, it in a lot of ways feels like stealth suits to me when I was playing them, and still kind of am. Like, it's the same thing because they don't score very well in the crit op because the minute they stand on the objective or get anywhere near the objective and have to stay there, they die in the same way Vespids do. Or, well, I guess Vespids they don't have the action economy to do so. Stealth is not lacking the action economy to do so. They're lacking the toughness to stand on a point or even to knock people off of points to do so. And therefore, they do what Chris Baki has been doing, which has been focusing on the kill op, letting as few stealth suits die as humanly possible, get 2 points in the kill op, so you go up 2 points for the extra point and then your primary point, and then just focus on tack up with like scout enemy movement or steal intelligence. It works in a similar way in my mind with Vespid, in that they focus kind of on the kill op because they're just so good at killing when they spike, and then tack up because they have good tag ops to score, whereas the crit up is just kind of an afterthought, unless it's something like stake claim where they can actually kind of overwhelm the opponent on those points and stuff like that.
Now, for one of my David hot takes, I actually really miss like the AO24 ops for Vespid a lot. Less so when AO25 started because flank was disgusting, but now that flank is basically like 4 points and you have to work for your 5th, I really miss confirmed kill on Vespid because that was because you would get within 2 inches of somebody, blow them up, and then at worst you could just send your drone over to stand on it and pick up the tokens later. Flank is still good, and it's still really solid for them, especially on 11 bodies. Them being 11 bodies is very similar to 6, and where the kill op number is really nice for them.
Because it's 247?
2479.
Yucky.
Yeah,
those odd numbers be killing me, dude.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I was playing hand this weekend, and let me tell you, their kill op is not kind to them. Theirs is like 2, 4, 5, 6 or something crazy like that, where it's like you only where you
it's
need
exactly
like,
the number.
Where you need singular kills to go up the thing, and I'm like, oh man,
that's gross.
Yeah,
that's tragic.
9 bodies is actually pretty rough on the kill op, shockingly.
Yeah.
That said, as I'm about to start playing scouts, but you know,
was a mistake.
The crit ups for the most part are okay. There's certainly some bad ones, right? The ones where you have to tap the point every single turn. Like I hate seeing things like I think it's data or download.
Yeah.
Probably both of those, honestly. Transmission and loot are my nightmares, actually. I don't like them at all. But for the most part, like the other ones, even ones where you do have to tap it every once in a while, or like once a turning point you have to tap something, you get control of your home not by like leaving a bug there, but by like overwhelming one of the sides and making it so that they can't even come into that area. And that way you're free to like have your leader there, like taking pot shots while standing on the point, or like leaving the drone back there or something.
Because another thing people forget is that all of the Vespid guns are infinite range. They just have a rider that says they have to pay a community point if you're not within your closest target, within pistol range. So like, it can be very interesting. And you know, a couple of times I've been caught out playing against Vespid, going, "Oh yeah, their guns are infinite range," and then they play community point, and just like, "Oh, that guy's deleted, I guess." That sucks.
They're pretty good at that.
David, tell us a little bit about some of these games you played at this tournament this weekend.
So yeah, it was a local like 3-rounder. It wasn't a ton of people. I think it was maybe 14 or so over here in Jersey. My round 1 was against a good buddy of mine. He was playing Celestines, and I'd never played them before. They're a very scary team, especially because they're roughly the same number of bodies. They're like 9 bodies or something. But they're 4-5. They're 4-5 basically with severe. At least the warriors. He took like 5 warriors against me, and it was just
Celestine Warriors fan.
I am like thoroughly convinced at this point that people are going to realize very quickly most of the specialists are kind of hot ass on the fucking team, and that the route is taking mostly warriors.
Yeah, that was sort of his his take. He ended up leaving I think it's called the Reliquarius or something, the one with the big banner. He took the Denuncia and he said he regretted it immediately. Man, that game was just awful. It was just like a back and forth game of. Yep. We had shots where like nothing happened. I got like a TP2 like very aggressive obscured grenadier shot, and I shot my blast 2 like neutron grenade into like 4 Celestines, did 6 total damage because of obscuring.
That sounds about right.
But I left the token there, and like in all it did like 12 damage or something, so it's still like fine.
Yeah, that also sounds about right.
Yeah. The token's really good.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Do I get shot with a grenade launcher? Oh, it's obscured and you're in cover? I don't give a fuck.
As long as one goes through, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because those tokens, you can have multiple tokens in the kill.
Oh yeah, they don't go away either.
It's disgusting.
And it's not even like when they start their activation, it's if they touch it along their movement. They don't even have to stop there.
I'm telling you, man, especially since we're due for Approved Ops 26 here in the next couple months, if there are good recon TAC ops in that pack, Vespids are going to be a fucking problem.
Or good seek and destroy. Can you imagine a good seek and destroy? Because I can't. They put out 6 bad seek and destroys.
Dominate's
alright.
Okay. I said good.
Yeah. I mean, same with Route. Route's okay.
Yeah, it's no sweep and clear.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it was a crazy game, and both of us basically had to ignore the crit op. It was I think it was transmission, and neither of us could touch it. Period. The middle point was a no man's land. Anybody who went there died. But we ended up finishing that game 10-10, which was just
Jesus.
Sounds like one of my games.
It felt we both left that game feeling like we lost.
As a tie should. I've had ties where I left the table going, man, I played really well. That was a tight game. My opponent played really well. That was a tight game. I felt really good about that. And most of my ties are like, damn, I can't believe that we had to go through that. I feel bad for me and my opponent that we had to suffer through that. Like, the dice just fucked us both or whatever.
Yeah. So, with a tie, I already knew that I was in for this tournament for the funsies. So, my next game was also a first-time match. I played against Wormblade. And I had never played against Wormblade before. They are a very fun and a very terrifying team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. My opponent, however, was not used to playing against Vespid, who are also a very terrifying shooting team. And boy, did he learn about Vespid shooting.
All it takes was once. One time.
And their Wormblade are 7 wound models or something like that.
7 wound, 5 up save, APL2. They're just guardsmen.
Yeah.
So like Vespid with 3-4 in fighting and lethal 5 shock and all that stuff. I was like, I'm going to go charge them.
Vespid, this is the one match like, I guess I charge you?
Yeah, I guess I'm the melee?
Yeah. I mean, look, Flying Charge, Flarge is a very, very strong
Flarge
tool.
is great.
Flarge is very strong.
So is their mining their mining laser is insane. That guy picked up a model every time he shot.
Yeah, I've every time I play Wormblade, my goal is like, all right, how do I make sure that I just don't get shot by that mining laser?
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing about them too is like they have so many fun like defensive tools. Like they have that thing that lets them get obscuring from light cover, but like flying just erases that. You just get the angle you want pretty much every time, I'd imagine.
Yeah. We ended up getting shortboard focus, and it was pretty touch and go with me getting like, we were just like get up in each other's face and both roll 1s on all our attack dice in shooting, or all roll 5s on our saves. And I was getting really scared that he was going to invade my home point, and then he forgot about Ocelli and put the Locust behind light cover. And the whole time I was playing around not getting him, not dropping down in front of the Locust and having him charge me. So he put him behind light cover, and I was like, all right, great, here's my chance.
Yeah, you have to play around those agents really hard playing into Wormblade. That's why I really like playing into Wormblade, because all the mooks are like, they're basically just fodder, but you know, they still score points, they're still useful, and you still have to deal with them. But then those agents come out of nowhere, just like, oh yeah, these 2 models will clean up your whole team.
No, they're insane.
By themselves, no problem.
Yeah, they run around, they kill everybody. The Kellermorph was crazy.
Kellermorph is MVP every time.
Love that dude.
But ended up taking that game 16-13. And it was a very fun game. And then last round was into Murderwing. I forget exactly which Tomb World map it was, but it was the one with the little hallway. I don't know if I think it's Tomb World 3 or something, where it has the one big room and then the 2 home points with the little tiny hallway with the teleporter.
The
little hallway is like the plant banner room of Kill Team. I love that map, but it was sort of cagey, sort of aggressive. My opponent put 4 of his Murderwing buddies in that hallway. I don't know if he was waiting for me to breach it, but I was never touching that door.
Yes, that's about right.
And the big room I just took control over because I won initiative TP2, and so I flew in one of my guys, injured his champion. His champion killed the guy that shot at him, and then my grenadier just went, all right, here we go. Thanks for the model. And then one of my basic warriors scared the Warp Talon out of the room completely, and it looked like I was going to take the game no problem. It was data. It was the compile and send data one. Last end of TP3, he malicious narcissism breached with the depredator and just moved into the room to a point where the only thing I had on him was an obscured guard shot, which didn't injure him. So he flew it. So then on his activation, he uploaded my data, took 2 of my crit op points, flew it, got a double charge on my leader and another bug, fought, and I was like, all right, it's fighting, it hits on 4s, rolled 5 successes. And I was just like, well, okay.
That's a dead bug.
That's a dead bug, I guess. He ended up getting a double kill because when he kills something, he minuses an APL. So my other bug was stuck in melee with him because he's
rip.
So then I had to fight him with my other bug, let him kill me, and then pick him up. But then at that point, he had killed so many bugs that it was just even on the crit up, even on everything, and we tied 12-12.
Yeah, I really like Data. I think it's one of the best crit ops in AO25, but it's one of those ones where if you feel too comfortable in your position on that crit op, then it could really swing against you very quickly.
Is Data number 8?
I don't remember.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, compile and upload one. On average, I score about 9 points on that crit op. I really like that crit op. You can only max 6, but on average, I score about 9.
that was my. It's funny you mentioned that, David. My last round in a tournament I played this weekend as Hand of the Archon into Murderwing on Volcus was also Data. I scored fucking 0 points on that shit because
brutal. Because of Murderwing.
Because of Murderwing, and I'm sorry, I scored 3. I'm sorry, I scored 3 points on it, and the reason was like he said, Murderwing. Because the whole problem is he's just able to get. I killed 5 out of 6, and I had killed 3 by the end of turning point 2.
That's really good.
That's really good. Yeah,
I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. I'm doing fine. And then
compile data happened.
It's not even that. He just started getting fucking double kills. Because it's bro, he was punching my Hand of the Archon to death.
Yeah, but that's Hand of the Archon. They're not really melee dudes.
I know, but whatever, it's fine. But the point is that by the end of 3, he had 1 guy left, and yes, and he still won by 3.
That's crazy.
Because Flank, Data. No, it's because no, not even just Data. It's because Flank. He just kept pushing in.
Gotcha.
So I literally can't aggress onto his side because I'm busy having to deal with the onslaught of Marines. So he's just getting both sides by fact of being on my side of the board, and I just can't kill enough Marines because I only have 2 guns that can one-shot Marines, And even then, I got pretty lucky on setting up melee kills by chipping wounds off and shanking with a power sword, and it still didn't matter. Like,
well, let me ask you this, Joe, because it sounds like you probably got the edge on you probably got the bonus point on the kill op in that game, I'd assume.
I got 5.
If you scored 3 on the crit op, it's probably like 3 to 6 on the crit op there. And sure, like if they're going to get a lot of points on flank, that makes a lot of sense. I think you had said that you took like a different tac op. Like, do you think that
I took scout enemy movement, and it actually wasn't theoretically a bad choice because they're just big models and you can pretty much always see them. But the problem is because he aggressed into me so much, I was killing too many Marines. So, like, it was this, and I was going back and like, well, then what else? Because I know Mark French, he plays aggressive, and I said to Mark, I'm like, maybe I should just taken fucking Dominate.
Yeah, like, you always take Dominate against Mark French. Like, that's not a question.
But, like, that's the thing, is like, I have to really rely on those guys being alive at the end because I can only score 6 points on it.
Yeah.
How many kills did you get with the Dark Lance?
1.
Okay, because I would have thought that he would have gotten like a couple kills. Right?
No, because
6-7 piercing 2.
Because
the Dark Lance always fucking misses.
Well, your Dark Lance always misses.
Who got the 2 kills on Marines was the Blaster because of his mobility.
Yeah,
like, that was the big
really
thing.
powerful.
Because I just kept from Darkness Death on him, and I would get at least 1 crit on the roll, and then into another crit that kills a Marine outright as long as you get 4 hits. And if I had the ceaseless from the pain tokens, so I was getting 4 hits. Like that, the killing wasn't the problem. It's like I couldn't. I only ended up getting 3 points on scout enemy movement, and I picked it as my primary because I assumed I wasn't going to out crit him because of its murder wing. How the fuck am I getting around him flying around the map on Volcus and just being wherever he wants to do the crit op? I assumed I wasn't going to beat him on the kill op because 6 is such a terrible breakpoint. Had I done that, I think I still would have lost by 2 points. So even that wouldn't have mattered. It was specifically because of data, and it wasn't even because like he used malicious whatever. It's just because he was able to just be Marine, be big, sit on points, and
tank it out,
and like I don't know if that's a Marine problem. I think specifically it's a Murder Wing problem because of their mobility.
It's a Murder Wing problem because like Death Watch can't do that, Angels of Death can't do that.
Yes, correct.
Wolf Scouts can kind of they used to be able to do that. I'm not sure if they can anymore because their shit doesn't work on Retaliate anymore.
You're talking about for which one?
Wolf Scouts.
Wolf Scouts.
They might be able to
because of their piercing because of their piercing protection.
Yeah, piercing protection.
In general, Marines in general can mostly do that whole like just send 6 dudes up a lane and like you're not answering all of them type of deal.
But to the point, to George's point, real quick before you finish, they can't get in the positions that Murder Wing can. So, like for example, what Mark was able to do was like I just didn't think he had the movement to get on vantage from where he was. And no, with 6 inches was plenty of movement to just teleport onto the top of an area and just put his base to body block to where I couldn't even get onto vantage to deal with him.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly, and now that I'm like really saying, I think once again we keep running into this thing. I think it's a fucking Volcus problem. Like I don't even think it's necessarily a Murder Wing problem.
It's a Murder Wing problem, but it's also a Volcus problem. Volcus AO25 Volcus sucks.
It's a Volcus problem.
I'm hoping so bad in the next couple of days, whenever we get what we're getting for season 4 or 3, whatever the fuck it is for us, that we get Octarius 2.0. Because
back Octarius, yeah.
I'm going to give you a Mark's hot take. I don't think we're getting season 3 stuff at Adepticon. I think that at Adepticon, I think we're going to get like an interim box, something like your new Ashes of Faith, whatever's coming out in the May timeline.
I can see that purely because they want to coincide with 11th edition release. I could see that.
Potentially. I mean, here's the thing is that 11th edition is probably going to drop in June. And like usually we have a Kill Team release at the end of April, early May. Like we have had that each year that I have played Kill Team. First it was Gallowfall, then it was then it was one of the season 3 shits, and then it was.
So I will throw out real quick what we've seen from the previews. We might be getting Morty and Iron Guard, which would be insane.
I've heard what was it the other one that people were saying, Catachans and Exodites?
Yeah,
I don't know
we've
what
heard
any
that
of these things
forever
are, but they
too
sound
since
great.
last edition. So like maybe that.
I mean, that'd be cool. Like jungle fighters versus like elves on like dinosaurs.
That
Come
would
on.
be fucking.
It'd be
That
cool,
everyone would freak out about.
But
that.
I think
That
we
would be
should
awesome.
probably just wait to see what they tell us instead of getting.
We
our
find
hopes up.
out.
I think so too.
On Wednesday. So
Yeah.
Yes, we find out Wednesday night.
Yeah, we'll find out
When
about
this
20
releases?
hours after this comes out.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
exactly. And then
let's talk about something that we know for like concrete, because we were talking about Data the mission, and I think what we should do is we should take a little time here to talk about Data the data.
Yes, I wanted to talk about this
Good
so
segue.
bad.
Because I think that this is really cool, because David has actually compiled data from the start of the edition, and
yeah,
like
and I
this
got
is
3
like
points for it.
this is like basically I don't know if I would call it a new data set, but it kind of like we're looking at the data that we've gotten previously in like a different way. So David, like I'd love for you to talk a little bit about this. Also, really quick, if you're listening to this episode, maybe go check it out on our YouTube channel. We'll try and fill in the blanks so that you know kind of like what we're talking about here. But obviously, if you can see the table that we're about to look at, it's going to make it a lot easier for you.
We can also just put it in the show notes.
Oh yeah, we'll include it there as
We'll
well. That's a
include the
good
show
idea.
notes, but yeah, you can see the video version on YouTube and Patreon.
Yes, I am actually going
Yes.
to be a good boy and make sure that this gets out early for our patrons. So a nice treat for everyone.
Ooh, we love treats. But yeah, so this chart here stemmed from from all the murderwing complaints that the community has been sort of throwing around. And from my own personal experience against them, I've done fine against them. I've played them a couple times. I've played against them about a half dozen times. I've won all my games as Murderwing. I've won all my games against Murderwing, or at least tied. They are certainly the boogeymen of the format at the moment, just because flying Marines, Marines with pseudo fly and like very scary melee and like all these cool tricks like Vox casters and malicious narcissism are all very good. But I've heard a lot of complaints about how the metagame is in a terrible place. There's been a lot of doom and gloom about the state of the balance thing. And in my experience, and from what I've seen of the numbers, it doesn't seem to really be the case. And so I went back to sort of the major like stat sheets that they do for each quarter right before the new slate comes out and they reset it all. And I just went and took the top 5 win rate teams, the bottom 5 win rate teams, and just listed them across the board. I did it for 4+ round events, and I ignored any team that had less than 50 games. And so looking at the chart, it would be the team, their win rate at the time, and how many games they had. So
Yeah, I think this chart is extremely interesting. For anyone who was playing at the beginning of this edition, we know that Legionary was busted and Warp Coven was super busted. And at the start of the edition, it actually, you can see Warp Coven is a 62% win rate with 500 games. It's insane.
Yeah.
The numbers they were putting up. And like the worst performing best of the 5 was at 58% with 300 games. So like,
and that was Inquisition with the double piercing 2
Yep.
shenanigans that they had at the time.
Yeah. So like all of the teams in the top 5, and I think there was more in the top 5, were well above that 55% win rate, and the teams on the bottom were well below that 45. Like the best performing worst team was Kinband at 38%, which is like real not good.
That's tough. Yeah.
on a 38% win rate team nowadays would be considered dog shit.
Yeah.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
the best
So
worst team.
I will
Yeah.
say just before we continue this. So if you are looking at this chart, there are a few caveats I want to add here. It doesn't include golds and placings, which I think are important.
For sure.
So like for example, if you look at the latest stats where Wolf Scouts are at a 55% win rate, if you look at their placings, they have 30. Actually, let me confirm what the number is as of
they
right
have
now.
35 gold placings.
Now,
like
what
a
was their release
20%
date?
rate?
What was their release date?
Like November.
They
Wolf
were
Scouts?
Yeah.
they were released last quarter.
Yeah,
It was the
last-
end of
3 months
December,
ago?
correct?
It was at the end of November, start of
like
December, somewhere in
November-ish.
there. Yeah.
But that means in 4 months, they have accumulated a win for almost, or gold for almost every day in the fucking month plus 3. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Now,
if any team
real good.
compares.
Yeah,
No,
I
they don't.
agree. I think it's important to take gold and stuff into consideration. I almost think that when you look at like the golds, that's like a very good thing to think of in terms of like the meta game, right? Like what is happening at the top levels of play. But I also think that it's important to look just at win rates just kind of by themselves, because I think that that's going to be a little bit more reflective of the average player experience. Joe, you always talk, let me finish. We always talk about, or rather you always mention how it's like, how we can't really trust these numbers because there's like top level players who are really winning with this team, but there's also like newer players who are like, you know, not doing as well with it. Well, that's kind of what win rate is it's a more generalized look at what is happening all around us, right? So I think that win rates is going to give us a really good idea of how things are going for people at all levels of the game, whereas golds are extremely important for very, very competitive play. No, totally agree with you on that point.
Yeah, and it's important to note that this data was not compiled to say these teams need buffs, these teams need nerfs. This data was compiled as a comparison over time about how overall the balance of this game, the trend in balance of this game.
Correct.
So, like, for that specific thing, knowing which teams get an outsized amount of podiums and golds, like, would it be helpful? Yeah, sure. But, like, it's not necessary for this, what we're trying to compare here with this data.
The main goal of this and this whole experiment that I did and what it's trying to show is that we are currently, as of this data slate, despite the complaints of Murderwing and complaints of Wolf Scouts,
which are mostly valid.
Which are valid for sure. They have some unfun and oppressive like playstyles to them, but unlike previous data slates, they are not as unbeatable / boogeymen as like Warp Coven at the beginning of the edition, as release sanctifiers with an 80% win rate. This is the first data slate where none of the top 5 break 60% win rate. This is the first data slate. This is the data slate. The lowest team, the worst win rate team of this data slate is basically at number 5, like the 5th or 4th worst of last. Like, we've gone up 5 to 10 points from the bottom, and we've gone down like 5 points from the top, and everything is sort of meeting in the middle. And that's a sign of a good balance. And the game counts are going up across all the teams as well. So we're getting more data, we're getting more play rate, we're getting a better read of
the trend is very clear. The trend is the game is getting more balanced over time. Would I like to see it have been balanced a little more aggressively? Yes. I think GW is being little bitches about it. But they are.
Dude, I don't even think. I think it's
time.
not that. I genuinely think, and this is gonna almost sound worse than what you said. I think they're out of touch. Just straight up. I think they just don't understand what is happening at the competitive and even the average player level. And it shows because they're doing the lighter touches when it's, you know, people from jump. And I know they see it. Like, I know that they see the complaining people do. And I think one of two things happens. Either they go, oh, well, they're wrong, or they go, let's see what the data says. And the other problem that really frustrates me is we don't see the data they're looking at. Do y'all remember when we did the data slates?
We'd see the exact same data they're looking at. They're watching Cyrix video like we are.
George,
they really are, though.
They don't tell us that. That's the difference.
Sure. Their balancing decisions are opaque.
Yeah. It's not like Blood Bowl when they're making a document on Warcom that shows each faction's individual.
Yes, right? But do y'all remember when they used to do that?
No. Pepperidge Farm does not remember, right?
No, they never did.
I've been playing for 8 months. No.
If y'all remember last edition, one of the things they used to do when they did the data slate is they would show you the win rate numbers that they were looking at. They stopped doing that.
Yeah,
I'm going to
probably
tell you the
because they
thing
got
that
more than like 10 teams.
the thing I miss the most from the last edition and what they used to do with the data slate is they used to have like a nice sheet with all of the changes on it, all listed. And so I didn't have to go into each PDF and update each PDF and look at the changes. Oh my God. That's what we need to bring that back.
No, we don't, because it was actually terrible. Unfortunately, their solution wasn't better.
Look, I mean, my brain, I think that both work well for my linear brain, but like I'm good. I wanted to go on a rant. I had a bit of a milk toast rant there. But yeah, I mean, look, getting back to the data, I do agree. Like I'm looking at it and I do see like the floor coming up. I like that a lot. I think that's the most important thing is that the worst teams are getting better. I do think one thing that to think about is the idea of like we're seeing more play rates go up. And I do think that's really good. I think a lot of that's probably from the classified stuff. Like I think that the classified teams, those play rates are going a lot further down. Obviously, of course, people are still able to play those teams. But like if we're looking here, started the edition Deathcore. There was a lot of people who loved Deathcore. They just barely made it above 50 games, which I think was the cutoff for the data set.
Because they were bad and everyone knew they were bad.
They were bad. Same thing here. Towards the end, we got Q3 2025. Same sort of thing. 28.07% with 54 games. And then like by the time that they're declassified, I think people have probably just lost hope and moved on.
Yeah. Their data for this Q1 is 12 games.
Right, exactly. And so I think that they've probably moved on to like your Brood Bros type thing, or maybe they're playing, I don't know, some other Imperial stuff. They seem like people who like Celestians. But ultimately, it does mean that like the teams that are going to be getting more aggressive balance updates, the floor for those are going up. And of course, we see that the ceiling is coming down. Murder Wing at 59.41%. Wolf Scouts at 55.6%, Rekkas 54.4%, Breachers, ! 54.07, and then Canoptech at 54.05. So
I think it's worth pointing out that for all of the numbers we're seeing here, for all the quarters before this one, there was at most one team in the top 5 that was in that 45 to 55%. And in this most recent quarter, it's 3 out of the 5 are in that 45 to 55% win rate. I mean, yeah, they're 54, they're real close to that 55, but they're still in that healthy range.
Yeah.
I think that's a signal that says that the game is actually well balanced, and
I agree.
You only need to touch on the ones that are above that and work on the ones that are below that. Because if we can bring the teams that are below that 45 up, that will also negatively impact those numbers on the team at the top.
No, when the natural predators start to come out, I do think that has an impact.
I think another thing that this data sort of points to, and you see it a lot in other games as well, as the game becomes more and more balanced and everything starts to approach the center, the outliers feel more oppressive than they used to. Like if you look, Murder Wing and Wolf Scouts are 59 and 55.6. If you toss current Murder Wing and current Wolf Scouts into the previous data slate like metagames, they wouldn't even have the win rates they currently have. Old Sanctifiers, old Warp Coven, old Canoptic, they would not be. Wolf Scouts and Murder Wings would not even be the problems. Nobody would talk about them.
Yeah,
or at least not to the degree that they are currently.
Release Sanctifiers body Wolf Scouts. I think they body Murder Wing.
Release Sanctifiers were not okay. You shouldn't be allowed to move 12 inches with your entire team.
We're not okay.
Per turn.
I think original Warp Coven still might be the best team in the game. Like, even over release Sanctifiers.
It's a choice. I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't play them that much to have the thought on that.
Release Warp Coven were toxic.
It was the worst beatdown I'd ever gotten in Kill Team. It was when I played against Scott's Warp Coven. He beat my Brood Bros like 18-2 or something like that. Just absolutely, just shat on me.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part to me is like that's the one thing that does bother me about the balance thing is it's just like, man, we used to have it so much worse at the beginning of this edition, and people just seem to forget that.
I don't even think that they have forgotten it. I think that so much of like the complaining now has like we have been, I don't want to say traumatized. I think that's melodramatic, but like we really felt the impact of these unbalanced teams and like the fact that the new teams have continued to come out and it's almost felt like an escalating level of power creep.
Yep.
It's really just kind of left people, you know, with a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth.
Yeah. But I think it's important to note that it feels like an escalating level of power creep when in reality, it, besides sanctifiers, they have not been really escalating the power creep. The power creep has really just been on like the same level, except sanctifiers again. Sanctifiers.
It's been going and it's been leaning down. Like now, the two best teams in the format, they're not the unbeatable, unstoppable forces of Warp Coven, Release Sanctifiers, or Canoptic.
Or even Release Wolf Scouts, and Wolf Scouts are still doing extremely well.
Yeah. These teams are very good. They're very powerful. They're winning their games. But like Murderwing isn't placing like a top tier team is. It's placing like a normal team. It has like a 16% placing rate. It's doing okay. Rekkas are placing as well or better than them. And they're very powerful teams, but they're not unbeatable teams. They're
just
manageable.
annoying.
They're annoying to play against.
Yeah.
Is the thing. They're unfun. They're oppressive.
Strategies like Raveners have an unfun strategy of just don't interact with me.
For sure.
Are there any other like things that really jump out at you when you're looking at the data, David?
It was mostly what I've noticed from like the bottom, and as George mentioned before, like this is also the first data slate where in the top 5 winningest teams, 3 of them don't break 55%. In the bottom teams, 4 of them are above 40. Almost like it's the number, and like the bottom teams, you hear people talk about the bottom teams of past slates, like the old Deathcore, old Hunter Clay before they got buffed. They were dog water. In some cases, you were like, it was impossible to imagine winning with those teams.
Right.
And you look at the bottom teams of the current data slate, Plague Marines, Stealth Suits, Battleclade, those teams, especially a lot of like specialists, feel that these teams still have plenty of sauce and plenty of play into like higher teams. They're not abominations like it should be laughed off the table bad.
Stealth Suits, but that might be a personal preference.
Depends on the player, right? Baku's doing pretty well with them, right? So
yeah, I think Joe's doing pretty well with them too. But
I think we could also look at Hyrotech, which is in the current quarter's data. They're second from the bottom, 39.04%. And like our friend Daniel from Greensboro, he is still like kicking ass with the team. Like
he's a Hyrotech specialist, and it feels like it. Like
yeah, absolutely. Like I was absolutely terrified playing against him when I was playing against him at Cherokee. Like I knew that he was able to wield that team to their maximum potential.
The biggest thing that sent them down to the 30-40% win rate was the fact that they gave you a guaranteed 6 on the kill up because of how reanimation worked. But now they fixed that, and now they're a real team. And I think the only reason they're still down there is that nobody's playing them.
Yeah, nobody is playing them. If they could get internal balance at this point, like if they could balance the 3 cryptex against each other, and so that there's a real like choice there for different matchups, I think people will start playing that team, and they'll jump back up into the 45-55 bracket. But like right now, people are looking to go, I don't want to play this team. Like the reason that Canoptics have seen such a downward trend in games, like they had last quarter, they had 523 games, 60% win rate. Now they're 54%, but only 200 games. They have like a little more than a third the number of games. It's because people who were playing Canoptic and doing really well, and they're still really good, they're not a 54% win rate team. They're still a 60% win rate team. It's because the team is boring as sin to play, and nobody wants to play it.
I mean, I would argue too, like if we can look back earlier in the data set, like Q2 2025, we look at the top worst team here is the Felgor Ravagers. They had a 38.83% win rate. They got like a small nerf in the patch or in the data slate.
Yeah.
And like
Felgor
they
have
were
never
running,
been buffed. They've only been nerfed.
So
they've only been nerfed.
Felgor only got we're only 38%, I think, because this was like peak Goremongers time. And so everybody who wanted to play Felgor just played Goremongers instead at that point.
It's the thing I was going to say is that's kind of when I was really playing like a lot of Felgor, and so that's me actually dragging the win rate down. But
I think you're dragging the win rate up, actually.
Quite possibly. The funny thing about it though is it's just like to see them. They were at the 54%, like the worst of the best in the Q1 25 data set, best of the worst in the Q2 2025 data set, and then we go up to Q4 2025. Obviously, they did well at Worlds. They're back in the top bracket there. Yeah. And so it's so funny to see them kind of oscillate back and forth like that, where it's not so much that team is changing. It's just the metagame is changing around that team, and they keep having that sort of cyclical coming back up because it's like they just have those tools to deal with particular teams, right? Like that Q2 2025.
I think it's also that like people were like, I don't want to play Felgor anymore. I'm going to play these
the Goremongers, yeah. Goremongers. It was just different, similar
and then,
vibe.
Like, people were like, Goremongers, like, win this matchup and lose this matchup, and I don't want to fucking deal with that. I'm going to go back to Felgor.
I think this was also at the height of the Ravener madness, right? Like, Raveners are in this data set as well, and like a lot of people didn't want to play Felgor into Raveners. Like, they thought there was just no hope in that matchup.
Oh, bro. I mean, I'm a Pelton Firepower believer, so, like, I think that's a really good matchup for Felgor, actually. But, you know, I'm a crazy person.
Yes, you are. Well, gentlemen, it has been an absolute delight to talk about the data, but there's more to talk about still. We have to talk a little bit about Skill Team. And like I said earlier in the program, Skill Team is currently just like absolutely crushing it on ITC. David, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about like what's going on with Kill Team in your neck of the woods. And also, like, I hear that you might have some events coming up, something fun that people might want to come to.
Skill Team is mostly a central/northern New Jersey type of community. We've been trying to grow and expand to like all of Jersey. We're always looking for more players, more people. We have like a list of like 12 stores like in all corners, and it's gotten to where at least recently it's felt like we've had an event every single week available if you really wanted it.
It's looked like it too.
Super great. We have
recently there have been.
Yeah, we have a league that we center it around a couple of the stores, and we all meet up there, schedule around then. It's a super cool community. Super great, super friendly. George is in there sometimes and bantering with everybody. But we have a pretty major event coming up soon. We're hosting our second Summer Slaughter, August 14th through 16th. It is down in Plainsboro, New Jersey, Plainsboro Township, near Princeton. We're still selling on 5 or 6 rounds, but it is, I think, Jersey's first golden ticket event that I'm aware of, at least.
Hell yeah.
Can't wait to not win it.
It's going to be a great opportunity to get a lot of games in, too, right before Nova.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get down there. Mostly because it's close enough where I don't need to get a hotel, so that saves me a lot of money.
You went last year, George, and you had a good time, no?
I had a great time.
Yes. It was fun last time.
Like 2 points off from winning the event last time. It was my like 3rd, 4th, and 5th and 6th game of Rekkas, or like I was still less than 10 games of Rekkas in, and I was like 2 points away from winning the event. It was great.
Yeah, I think I was at like game 11 or 12 of Vespids, and I went in and I ended up getting like 3rd or 4th or something.
I gotta say, because I feel like people were thinking I was trying to wind it down with those comments. I actually want to fucking open the powder keg one more time before we close this podcast, because earlier you talked about like you had a David hot take, and so what I want to do before we end the pod is get one more David hot take. Do you have
my PR
one?
manager is going to kill me.
Don't worry, Andy. We asked for this.
A David hot take? I mean, where do you want me to start? I still think AOD are the best Marine team right now. I think they have the best matchup spread. And if you were going to bring a Marine team to an event, you should really consider those over Murderwing and Wolf Scouts, despite what the data says, because the data still. One thing to consider with that sheet we were looking at for the Q1 2026, usually those data slates are at the end at the end. We still have at least a month before we get another data slate, so those numbers are still subject to change, and typically percentages go down rather than up. So, and games will go way up, but
I think
that's certainly an old school David take. My current one is actually kind of fun. That Marines are certainly less scary, and Hordes are actually really good, and nobody's playing them because they're just kind of complicated to play and take a lot of like brain juice. But I think the like 8 to 11 operative range or activation range is probably the best in this current edition of Kill Team. And I think if you can play one of those teams or want to play one of those teams, you should be encouraged to do so, because I think they're in a better spot than the general community gives them credit for.
Yeah. Like, I didn't get to make it to the tournament yesterday as we were recording. I had to stay at home and watch the baby while my wife, got to spend time with her friend. How dare she?
Really rude of them.
Yeah. But in the tournament weekend prior, like, I lost out on first place because I didn't move one model 3 inches. And like, if I had done that as playing as a Horde into Murderwing, I would have won that game. But like, Hordes are really strong. They have really good ways of managing the space on the board. Like, a lot of people are worried about playing into Murderwing because they can get wherever they want. But as Chaos Cult, I was able to get to places where I forced my Murderwing opponent to engage on the terms that I have set, because they cannot move into places because I either put models there and so they have to charge and I have a Torment over there, or they have to give up that aggressive positioning and move backwards or don't go anywhere. And so with Hordes, you can do things that 6 model, 7 model, even 8 model teams simply can't, which is literally put dudes in places and say, your base doesn't fit there, get another plan.
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure out something else, buddy. And people just aren't playing those teams, and they aren't exploring those, I'm going to say, old school strategies, because they were very prevalent last edition when Hordes were a lot stronger, because Overwatch was weaker, plasma guns were stronger, and so like Hordes had a much bigger advantage than they do this edition, but they still have a lot of play this edition that people aren't really thinking about because they're not playing those Horde teams anymore.
I like the hot take though, because I think one of the things you're getting at is ultimately like mid-range, like this 8 to 11 body count team is where it's at, especially because I think of mid-range almost more as like the natural predator of a Horde team as opposed to elites, right? Because they've got a little bit of extra durability. They got a few more bodies to hang and just like get stuff done with. And so like once people get wise to how cool Hordes are, like, look, I'm out here talking about Chaos Cult every week on the program. You know, I love Hordes. I've been playing Hordes for years now, but ultimately, like, that's the thing, is like mid-range teams are so good. You are doing great with a mid-range team. Joe did really great at the tournament this weekend with a mid-range team. He was crushing it with Celestians at the last tournament too. So like, I think that you're absolutely right. I don't know if like it's a hot take right now, but I also think it's based.
Yeah.
One advice for people who want to play, who are like struggling into Marines with mid-range teams. You see a lot of advice that people give in terms of kill team, and it's always, without it meaning to be, it's always skewed towards Marines.
It's true.
Where you get a lot of people, like one thing I see people do with all their teams is they try to run up the board and shoot the ready model before it activates. And that's great. You should do, if you're the Marine player, if you have 6 bodies, you better be killing guys before they activate. But if you're the Horde player, if you got 10 dudes on the board and they got 6, wait till they go and then shoot the expended guy. Just get him off the board, then you don't have to deal with it next turn.
I think we should slow down the releases of new teams and let people play with the teams they already have.
Dude, I know. I
think that's actually way better for the game.
I know.
It's just not way better for their.
I have a quick take that I want to throw out. Deathwatch should get their 6th body.
Oh no!
Yeah.
If they change nothing, yes.
Oh, they should change something. Clearly, like let's be clear.
They should lose.
I don't think the
specialists.
specialists. So even before their nerfs, I didn't think the Deathwatch specialists weren't that much crazier than Marine specialists. They just got access to 10 options, which was like their scary part. If they just found a way to make taking 6 Marines optional, because they still need to make it work in a single box, because they only sell them in boxes of 5. So you make it so that if you like don't take you drop an equipment or something, and you could take a 6th guy or something, like, or change special issue to only work on bolt pistols or some bullshit. Whatever. If they do something to change it, they can make it work very easily. Make them a 6 operative team. I'd fucking play that team.
They would never. They're not going to do it, unfortunately, because the box is 5.
They should just have all their nerfs reversed. Like
but like some teams can function on a 1 box, but they're bad on a 1 box, right? Because like
Deathwatch,
right? But the only box that exists that is not legal.
No. Inquisition is not legal
kill team.
1 box.
Yeah, it's just Inquisition.
Because it's just
like, it exists.
But like, there's plenty of teams that if you build it in 1 box, you're just building like a suboptimal team, but it still functions. But they need to do that with Deathwatch. They need to make it so that you lose out on double counteracts or if you take a 6 body.
Yeah. I mean, I would love that, but like,
I like that as a hot take. I think that's spicy.
I think it's spicy too.
Well, thanks for serving up some spicy takes and hanging out, Dave. It's been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, happy to be here.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Vox Scream. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please follow, subscribe, and leave us a review. Any of those things are going to help us grow. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode.